Four of us started this politically. And you know what? By the time we realized, we started having 20, 50, 30, up to 100 people in Atlanta. And guess what? I was going back and forth, and come a time when you would not believe the momentum that we gave our people in Sierra Leone, and they started recognizing us. And come politics, at the end of the day, we gave our votes to the All People's Congress. We merged with them to move the incumbents at the time. But you know, let's put our political affiliations aside. I think the primary objective is Mama Salone, to make our country, as the late John F. Kennedy once reiterated, don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. So, you know, as a Sierra Leonean, I thought I could go back home and give something back to Mama Salone. And the reason why I chose that was because of what I saw His Excellency Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma is doing at the moment. It's unparalleled. You have to go home and see the development that is taking place in our beloved country. You know, as I said earlier, we have to put our political affiliations aside and consider Mama Salone first. Mr. Nathaniel Daunde is my brother. Been knowing each other for so long. He's going to contest in Kono. Let's give him a big hand. And I am taking care of constituency 93. That starts from Godrich all the way to Banana Island. And you may ask me, why did you go there? I chose that area because of tourism. You know, very few of us would even stand in front of a forum and say anything about tourism in our country. If you're flying today in Africa, you go to Gambia, 95% of the investors would disembark in Banjul. Why? Because of tourism. And you cannot even compare the beaches that they have in the Gambia with what we have in Sierra Leone. When I did my research, trust me, there are 51 black sand beaches in the whole wide world. Sierra Leone, it's the only country in that part of sub-Saharan Africa that got a black sand, and that is York Beach. If you take the sand grade in York, it's different from the sand grade in Sussex, Bobo, Number 2, Laka, Toke, Bure Town, and all the other beaches, different sand grades. And I said to myself, you know, I think I can make a difference in this regard. So I said, I will contest. And tourism will be my #1 objective. To bring revenue to Mama Salone, I said that to myself 3 years ago. I drove down to Florida with a project that I wrote myself. I was able to convince an investment group to go down to Mama Salone and see what I told them on the phone. But simply because at the time I was a PMDC member, the erstwhile Minister of Tourism then strike an X. I said, no problem, I'm still a Sierra Leonean as you. Politics is not a profession. There will come a time when somebody else would take your seat, and I will bring this same proposition to that person. And look at him and look at me now. I met with him 3 months ago on the street in Freetown. He was having a car problem. I pulled my car on the side. I spoke to him with all respect to say, do you remember me? He said, I don't think I do. I said, of course. I was the one that came to you 2006 with that tourism proposal that you struck down. Oh, Mr. Boyle. I said, you see, you are no longer there. Seriously. So politics is not a profession. Whenever you go in there, do something to leave a legacy. And that's what I believe in. To leave a legacy. So even when you die, your kids will walk the streets or the village or whatever, the neighbors will say his father or her father contributed in building this hospital, in making these roads, in constructing this water well. Whatever you can do to contribute to Mama Salone, to me, it's what I'm interested in, that legacy. You know, so I really, really thank you all. I am so elated this evening. When I was coming, I said to myself, I have to go to my adopted home. That's what I told my friends. So what do you mean? I said, America is not my home. Mama Salone is my home. America is my adopted home. I'm going to go and tell all my sisters and brothers my political aspirations. And you will not believe, when I came in, I met my older brother, my good friend, my motivator here, Mr. Alpha C.D. Ankekano. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for him. You would not believe a friend was going home. He gave him some flyers. This friend came to my office with about 400 flyers. I gave one of my employees in the office to go around distributing these flowers, and people were saying, but the venue's not here. Why are you giving these flyers to us? Do you know how badly I want to go to America? As you know, America, everywhere in the world, when you pronounce the name America, everybody wants to come here. And you go back home today, you see Sierra Leoneans are going back. The plane load is always full now. There's never been before, but now. And why are these people so motivated to go back home? Because they've seen motivation. They read magazines. They read on the internet the accolades that His Excellency Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma is getting from the entire world. That's why. You know, I remember I was here sometime in January. He sat close to Barack Obama. I said to myself, I couldn't believe this. I really couldn't. I turned the volume on just to watch the telly to make sure that that was really my president. You know, so if Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma could do it, any one of us here could do it. Regardless of your political aspirations or wherever. I think if he can, any one of us here could do it. So ladies and gentlemen, I will not let you down. I can tell you that. For those of you who really, really knew me growing up here many years ago, I've attested to that. That I have a very tough level of discipline in me. Because one thing, when I was growing up with my sister, that most of you really, really don't know, she's sitting there. Aina, stand up please. That's my younger sister. Stand up so everybody in the hall could. That's my younger sister there. Yeah. You know, when we were growing up, one discipline that our parents really instill in us is values. When you lose that, you can never ever get that again, regardless. And me, I believe in that. If I had taken anybody's money in Atlanta or play any kind of crooked ways, like Mr. Jonathan Thomas mentioned, calling me in Freetown, or Mr. Alusain Fofana to help them, if I had done anything corrupt to them, they would not stand here this evening pronouncing my good name. Because I know, coming to face you now, I will be so embarrassed to look at you in your face and say, oh my God, I did him wrong or I did her wrong. That I can do, I'm sorry, for no amount of money. Because for those of you who know me, when I stand in front of you, I want you to look at me and say, he is a gentleman. And to be a politician, you have to set the stage. Because the people who really know you, they're the ones who would take the message and said, you know what? He's this type of person. I don't think he would do well in there. Because when I go in, trust me, I'll do what's best for Mama Salone. I'll do what's best for my country and for our country. Because I would not want to come back to Atlanta and you look at me and said, Milton, I am so disappointed. So wipe that out. That is not even something that you should think about. Because the fine work ethic that I think that I have, the determination that I think that I have to turn tourism, my primary objective, winning that symbol, is to give revenue back to Mama Leone, and the only way I can do that is develop my constituency, and the only way I can do it, I have mapped, I have looked at certain areas that could be vital. For instance, for those of you who are conversant with the Peninsula area, between Boyle and number 2, there's a fantastic area there for botanical garden. From Leone to Hamilton, there's a phenomenal area that you could do recreational park for kids. And then going down to Bure Town, you could do a golf course as well. Ghana has all of these places. These places, once you set all this up, these are things that will attract tourism. You would not believe. After doing my research, I met an old white English guy who said to me, I heard that you're running here for an MP. Why? And I told him my reasons. And he said to me, Mr. Boyle, do you know 1935, we did a research here. There is a bird that we called an Arabian falcon. The only place you could find this species now in sub-Saharan Africa is right here in the peninsula. I couldn't believe him. We drove in my car. We went right up the hills at number 2. And these birds are right there in their habitat. Can you believe that? It's amazing. So I've learned so much from asking questions from the headman, people all around in the peninsula, and I know when once I have privileged to have that symbol in my hand, trust me, I'm going to need you all, even when I come. I will need, of course, Honorable Jusu to give me advice. Of course, Ranjusu as well is a tin tank. He's a tank. Mr. Ronnie is a tank who knows well about tourism. So you never beat to land. Always remember to ask. Don't be very egoistic, thinking if I ask him or if I ask her, how would he or she think about me? I'm not that type. That is why when my friends recently, before I made that pronouncement, were saying to me, why didn't you run for mayor? I know that's a tall order. I'm not yet ready for that. Because running for mayor takes a whole lot of work, and you have to be savvy and know much about taxation, the environment, health, all of this. You have to master all of this, because even if you see it on a debate on SLBC television, they ask you all these questions, and when once the audience realize you don't have the expertise in that area, you embarrass yourself. So what I told myself was, I want to go in Parliament and learn as an MP, learn how to make laws. Maybe in 10 years when I'm 60 years old, I could pronounce Milton Ojumeri Boyle running for mayor of Freetown. And by then, my report card will speak for me. People will go to the report card, to the archives, and say, what has he done for 93? Then they will say, oh, he did this, he did that. He helped to do this for the kids. That's what I want to do. That's why I thought it's better to go in and learn as a member of Parliament, because I want to be in the argumentative sector, where I could raise my hand and say, Mr. Speaker, challenge the floor. I love debates, and I think Parliament is a suitable place for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for coming here this evening. One thing I want you to write down in your diary, if possible, make that your national anthem beside what we just heard. I will not disappoint you. And I thank you all for coming.